everyone, welcome to Femme Fables. Megan here, and I have my original co-host podcast buddy back with me, Deidra. Hello.
Hi.
We are in her studio, so it's a little change of scenery too. There's lots to look at behind me.
The cluttered chaos
on the video.
Is it chaotic, disorganized?
Like your attachment style. All right, so this episode, we are talking about attachment styles in relationships. So this was prompted by you, actually. You sent me your results, and you're like, take this quiz. I'm like, okay. And attachment styles, for people who don't know, are basically how you receive and give love based on basically your childhood. Mm-hmm. They say your attachment style is developed by the age of 2 years old. So at a very young age, your primary caregiver, whatever your relationship is, determines your attachment style.
I had heard like your personality is set by 7.
I heard 5.
Really?
It's a young age. I mean, they say who you are at probably 5 to 7.
Like your core person.
That is your personality. Yeah. Like as an adult, that you carry that through. So, so the attachment styles are secure. So those are the people who are secure and can have healthy relationships. There's anxious, which is what I am, which is I'm worried they're going to leave me. Or are they talking to somebody else? People
not
pleasing.
Comfortable.
Right. There's avoidant, which, funny enough, anxious people tend to attract avoidance.
Yeah. Because
that's what you know. Because avoidants avoid. Intimacy, they don't like.
Because let's say like your parent was avoidant, so you are attracted to avoidant people?
Because that's what you recognize as growing up in that environment. And then Deidra has the last one, which is actually the least common. I was telling her I was watching a video. It's only 2 to 5% are disorganized.
Disorganized
attachment.
That's me.
So
fully. It's actually really disturbing. But I was reading about it too, and you're like, go through it, and you're like, what the fuck?
I was very triggered when I read mine. And the reason why I think this is important is because I've mentioned attachment styles in the last couple episodes, because we talk about why do people deal with this or put up with that? Girls only like bad boys. And I was like, well, what if she has an anxious attachment style? And
oh my God,
that's why she ignores her.
The first episode when we were asking these questions, and now you kind of have answers to the questions you were asking in the beginning.
Yeah. I think on our 1 year anniversary, we should do like a year in review of like what we've talked about and what we've learned.
Are we better?
Right. I don't know. I've learned a lot, but I don't know if I'm making better choices.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I thought it was important because I think knowing your attachment style and knowing your partner's attachment style is important in having a healthy relationship. Because if you recognize what their attachment style is, so if I know I'm dating somebody who's an avoidant,
you'll know
I
why
probably
you're
can't bum rush them with things.
Yeah.
They're gonna run. I gotta give them space and time
to not trigger them.
Right, until they're ready to talk.
Is the goal to be patient with their trauma so you patient with their trauma so they are with you? Or should the goal be for us to all be like secure attachment? How do you get there?
A video I was watching today, it
doesn't go away?
I don't think it goes away.
I was just hoping. Mine hasn't gone away, that's for sure. I'm just learning how to like adjust in my environment.
Right. I think you just recognize it and hopefully have a partner. Deidre's fortunate that she has a partner who has a secure attachment style. So her disorganized attachment doesn't affect him. No. But I was telling her off camera, if she were with me, like an anxious partner, I would probably freak the fuck out.
I would be you would be like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Are you 2 different people?
Yeah. So I think it's important. And I think, like you said, knowing your attachment style, don't you recognize why you were in certain relationships and stayed?
I was always very much in relationships with people that wanted to control me, that were aloof, that were dismissive, and I view that because my relationships growing up with my mother and my father, they were aloof, they were absent or abusive. So I only knew love in that context.
Right.
So I found that my relationships all mimicked that same dynamic of me chasing them or trying to prove my value to them. And that's like a really awful place to be when you like, you don't love me no matter what I do. But like that's so my attachment style is disorganized because it's all basically based on fear, the perception of potential danger.
So read we're gonna read our reports that we got, and I will put a link in the YouTube video and probably on the podcast description for anybody who wants to take this, because I do think it's really interesting. I didn't recognize why I acted a certain way in my relationships, and after reading it, now I understand, oh my God, this is the reason why I'm kind of clingy and pushing people away, because I probably attract avoidant partners who, when you're clingy with, they fucking run.
Yeah, because that's triggering to them.
Right.
I found this thing that was 10 signs of a disorganized attachment in adults.
Okay, let's
So I was going to read that. So this is mostly me in many ways.
Okay, yeah, I want you to read them and then tell me if you think those relate to you or not.
Okay. So 10 signs of disorganized attachment in adults. 1, unable to regulate emotions. Yeah. I mean, it's not that like I'm not in control, but I'm like I'm very emotional. Everything is like, I'm kind of on a wave all the time. So
didn't you say something frightened you and you cried or something?
Yeah. I was on mushrooms though.
Oh, that doesn't count then.
But yeah.
I knew there was another caveat to that story.
2, strong fear of being hurt, rejected, abandoned by loved ones. I mean, that's self-explanatory, but yeah, it's a very heightened state for me that like I kind of like, I'm always like, if the door is shut a certain way, I might be like, oh, that means something, you know? Like,
that's what I was going to ask you. So does that like...
Strong fear of
Jeremy's
being hurt.
acting off.
Yeah, if he's having a strange day and he's subdued
Mm-hmm.
and he's not responding to me in the same way he might have the day before, I automatically assume something is severely wrong. Like,
You start freaking out?
I don't freak out. I'm a very quiet, internalized person, so like I just sit in personal hell evaluating. Like I'll be like sweating, and I've already planned that all the boxes I need to get to put all my stuff in. Like I literally go from 0 to I'm gonna have to move.
Oh my God.
What's gonna happen
with the kids?
I mean, that's just from him waking up and being like, and I don't say anything. I don't react to him. Now I know that there were people out there that would.
Oh yeah.
I'm just not that person. But like
You
those
internalize
people,
it though.
right? So I internalize it and sit in personal hell. Other people might react and say like, "What's wrong with you?" And those are very combative, angry people. I'm in a different portion of the disorganized. I'm closer to yours at the bottom. Somebody's at top. They might have more. This is fight or
like
flight.
Disorganized, anxious.
Yes,
like me.
right.
I'm just anxious, but
right.
Yeah.
So like I don't have like in fight or flight. Like I have less fight than I do flight.
Okay.
So that's where that is. Chronically vigilant and anxious. Oh yeah, like hyper analytical about everything. And that's not like, well, I'm a hyper analytical person, so that makes me a certain positive thing. Is like I'm analyzing everything. Like I would analyze like the way someone's walking, or like the tone of their voice, the words that they use, if they laughed at this person differently than this person. It goes to so many different like base levels of analyzing people to know their moods. Because when I was growing up, there was so much trauma and violence around, and so you become like a room watcher. Where's the exit? Who's what? Taking the temperature of everything in the room. And so that translates into relationships, and it's a horrible place for the other person to be, on the other side of me, personally. Because while I'm not like accusatory, I'm not like, you're something, I'm just like quietly dying inside.
Does Jeremy recognize that in you?
Yeah, he always puts his hand on my chest like this, and he's like, he'll just rub it quietly. He doesn't say anything.
That's so sweet.
He used to say stuff. He would be like, you're safe, you know?
Yeah.
He could see that I'm dying.
I was gonna say, he can pick up on it, which is good, because some people aren't that fucking observant. Just be like, why is
We're so connected though. I could just be sitting in the car, like, and I check out of the conversation because I've gone somewhere, and he'll just be like, he'll just like run my chest. Aww. And he's like, and
He's a good guy.
He really, really is. And it doesn't take more than that. It doesn't have to be a fight or an argument, but he knows that I'm triggered by something.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
Right. So it's nothing. And you know what's interesting is he's recognized it has nothing to do with him.
That's why he has a secure attachment.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, because he's like, yeah, I know you love me, like you were saying off camera. Like,
yeah. I know you love me, so it doesn't matter what you're going through. I know you love me. So like all this stuff, he doesn't take it as a representation of his lack of self-worth. It's just something I'm going through.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So even though it's around the content of our relationship or our life or our family or anything, it could be work, it could be friendships, really. So low self-agency, a sense of not having an impact on the world. That's just, to me, I take that as like not putting a lot of faith in yourself. Okay. And low self-agency meaning like your value, like how much people value you. Mm-hmm. Because when you grow up with that sort of environment, no one loves you, really. They don't love you at all. So nothing you do makes them love you. So you don't feel valued.
Okay.
You know?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So feeling ineffective and helpless in life. Doesn't matter what I do. Like, it doesn't make a difference, and so that's pretty self-explanatory. Poor goal-oriented behavior. I don't really connect to that. Like, I'm very goal-oriented.
Right, yeah.
So I didn't really understand what that was. Difficulties with bonding, opening up, and trusting others. Oh, yeah. Yes. Showing contradictory behaviors in intimate relationships. I hate you. Don't leave me. Yeah. I have been that person. Like, not those exact words.
I hate you, don't leave me. Right, that's a contradiction, right?
Or, like, pushing people away, but not wanting them to go.
Right, yeah. You wanted them to be the one to stay.
I've literally been like, I hate who you are, but I will always love you. That's confusing to people.
Yeah. It's really confusing.
Yeah.
That is very confusing.
I mean, those weren't good relationships, so I can't imagine. Alternating between clinginess and aloofness. Yeah, so being a person on this side of it is that what happens is you become comfortable enough to be clingy, and then you freak out and you're like, oh my god, this is going to lead to something bad, and you become aloof because that's no comfort zone, because you can't get hurt in aloofness. You can get hurt in being clingy.
That makes sense.
Exhibiting characteristics and behaviors of the other two insecure attachment styles, dismissive and preoccupied. So yeah, for sure. Now this is just some minor signs. It goes deeper than that. There was like pages and pages.
It's like a 9-page report.
How many of these were like on yours? Like, as far as like relating to any of these? I want to hear what yours says.
Yeah, mine's more about self-love, and self-esteem. That's where mine stems from, which makes sense. So,
preoccupied attachment.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm mostly anxious, preoccupied. So, you lack a strong sense of self and tend to put others first. You take care of others and place more importance on them and their needs instead of yourself and your needs. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hands down, 100%. You have a hard time being alone. You crave relationships and intimacy. I don't have a hard time being alone. Like, I do definitely like my alone time and being by myself, but I do crave that intimacy of a relationship. Like,
but you have a lot of friends.
I do. But it's like when so I'll give an example. I got a promotion a few months ago, and my family was proud of me, my friends were proud of me, but it's different than
a lover.
You coming home to Jeremy and saying, honey, like, you know what I mean? And being able to celebrate together, Yeah. Everyone was proud of me, but I was celebrating by myself with a bottle of champagne. But, like, so you have relatively low self-esteem. This was triggering. And seek approval and reassurance from others. You need them to validate your own worth. Therefore, you often crave attention and try to impress people.
Love language. What was your love language?
Words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation.
And so we just did the 5 love language episode with Kim, the last one I released, and that's why I said I think that's why my love language is words of affirmation. I need to hear it.
You need people to reassure that they love you.
Right. Yeah. So if they're not saying it to me, I become more anxious, and then I become more clingy, and if I'm with an avoidant partner, like the last guy I dated, which he told me he felt suffocated, because he's like, what? Like,
what you needed wasn't in line with what he was capable of giving.
Right, because avoidance cannot deal with intimacy.
Right.
So, next triggering bullet point. When it comes to relationships, you often exhibit clingy and needy behaviors. You seek attention and intimacy and can become too demanding. On the other hand, you're sensitive towards your partner's needs and preoccupied with taking care of them, which might cause your partner to feel smothered or suffocated by you. Yeah. And what did I just say? The last guy said he felt suffocated. Yeah. And I think I tend to try to rush my relationships to be a solidified relationship to help cure my anxiety of it.
I read that your
does that make sense?
Yeah. I read that your attachment styles that are comfortable flirting and be in the dating aspect when it's going good. Yeah. That you love that like give and take, but when it gets into a serious relationship, there could be oftentimes like not feeling comfortable with it.
I mean, I've been in a lot of relationships. This is the longest I've been single in my life, but I mean, I like relationships, but looking back on the relationships that I've had, I've realized like some unhealthy like behaviors and things within them. But I definitely think, and this will go to the next one. It's so funny because I felt like it was spot on. It says, you fear that you'll scare people away and they'll reject, criticize, or abandon you. You get extremely upset when you receive any disapproval in any form. When your partner's unavailable and spends time away from the relationship, you can become jealous, frustrated, and resentful. That I don't necessarily agree with, because I think I want somebody who has their own time and space, but they have to make sure I feel secure.
During that whole process.
If they're out, it would be nice to get a text be like, I'm still thinking of you.
Right.
That makes me feel secure. But I'm not, and I was jealous in my last relationship, but I was dealing with a situation I hadn't before with an ex still being in the picture and hearing about it all the time. That, and I talked about in the 5 love language, that too made me want more words of affirmation from that person. Like, okay, you're talking about your ex constantly.
Automatically, yeah.
Can you say something nice about me? Like,
they can't think like that.
No. Yeah. Well,
do you know what I realized, though? I said this the other day to Jeremy because I was talking to him about the same topic, and I was like, my relationship with Jeremy, I have a lot of these triggers more than I did in other relationships, because I didn't really respect any of those people, and I didn't really see them as an equal, or in a sense like Jeremy, I see him as like I feel lucky to have a partner like that. So like I feel like I have a lot to lose. And so a lot of those triggers come up because I feel so vulnerable to him, and he could hurt me so badly. Yeah. Whereas like, no offense to, it's horrible to say, but the guy I was married to before, I never felt that way. When the relationship ended, I did not feel any sadness about it at all. And because most of my relationships were like that. I just didn't feel connected. I spent most of the time not being close to them or open to them, so that when it ended, it didn't even faze me.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So the last bullet on mine, and kind of going over to your like overanalyzing, you overanalyze and worry excessively about relationships. At the same time, you easily ignore and misread signs of relational issues.
Yeah.
Fucking 100%.
Yeah.
Like total red flags in the last guy I dated. But I felt so connected. Oh, and that was the other thing they say. That instant connection you feel to someone sometimes is them like reflecting your attachment style and pain.
Oh.
That's why they say anxious partners usually attract avoidant partners, because you're like, that connection, this intense feeling I have towards you is actually a fucking red flag.
Wow. See?
Isn't that hurt?
That's the fucked up thing. You're like, if I really, really, really feel connected to you, there's something wrong.
Yep. Yeah, right? Isn't that just like completely fucked up?
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things?
Yeah.
Like, so that's why you hear relationship coaches talk about all the time, like, healthy relationships are boring. Like, really. Like, not boring in the sense of like you still love each other or whatever, like, and you're connected to each other, but that push-pull, like dynamic, toxic behaviors, that's not healthy. But that's what people become attracted to if that's what they grew up with, because that's all they recognize behavior-wise.
Your model for love is so important. I really I look at like what I'm modeling for my children now, and I'm modeling something that's very healthy and very full and has lots of different dynamics to it. They see us conquer dilemma and conflict and be supportive of one another and loving one another openly. And like, I didn't have that growing up at all. I didn't have a model for love. I just had a model for what was violence and mental instability and like I have severe PTSD just from all of that. I've had to I'm a grown woman. I'm still unpacking a lot of these things so that I can have a healthy existence. Because that doesn't stop at some point. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and she was saying at the show that we were at, and she's like, I thought that when I got through a lot of this stuff that I'm working hard on, that it would just at some point stop being difficult with other people because I got better. And it does not work that way. Just because we heal ourselves to some degree, other people won't. It might make it even more difficult.
Yeah.
Because now you can't unsee all of these things. You can't meet somebody and go, oh, you have a secure attachment, or you have a dismissive attachment,
right?
Or you have this. Like your trauma, remember we said this in the beginning, I said you just have to find someone whose trauma matches your trauma that works with harmoniously. It all comes down to this topic.
And that's why I thought it was super important to talk about. And I had never, I started doing this, I never heard about attachment styles. I had no idea what they were. Yeah. But now I'm like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And, they kind of give you, what's cool about this report too, is they give you stuff like what you can do.
It's so in depth. There's so many pages that you can read, and it says where you're at right now is what can you do. Yeah.
So mine is self-development. I need to focus more on what I want and what I like and who I am.
Go to mine. I want to know what it can do. I probably skipped over that.
Where's your report?
I don't know. I'm disorganized. You know what's funny?
Case in point.
My brother would say, like, of course you're going to go right to the end, Deidra. I just sort of cherry pick the stuff I want to read. Okay, we'll skip over to now, if you want to cut to here. The disorganized attachment style is believed to be a consequence of childhood trauma or abuse. Perceived fear is the central aspect of its development, right? So when it says the things that you can do, there's a couple bullet points, and it says recognize your triggers for feelings of abandonment, which I do. I recognize to learn when I feel helpless.
Okay.
So when I start feeling like, and what a trigger for me in feeling helpless is to do a lot, is to hypervigilantly find an answer, get a result, do something, be productive, do this, call this, like find something to do. I become like hyper productive or hyper vigilant in the situation because that helps me not feel helpless. But it's just a mask. So when I'm doing that, I notice that I'm doing it because I feel helpless. So then I step back and I'm like, none of that is even necessary. Most of the time you don't have to do anything. You could just sit with your feeling.
Which is tough.
You said that before. Yeah. Sit with the feeling and accept that it's happening and move past it. Because doing all of those things is mania. I've done that before. I've done it a lot for so many different ways, like jobs, friends, like, you know, you've probably done it, like look up, go research this and look this up and call this person or, you know, or whatever it may manifest as. So I do that. Learn how to self-soothe. Yes.
In a healthy way too.
Not like, I grew up, I was a cutter.
Really?
Yeah, I would do a lot of self-harming. And so that was a coping mechanism I learned a long time. And then other things manifest. You know, there's so many things that happen in your life that start from one poor coping mechanism to another, which was self-soothing, but it was poor self-soothing.
Right, not a healthy self-soothe.
And I put myself in some risky situations in my dating life that were simply self-destructive. And it was a coping mechanism, and it was just no different than if I had done something, like if someone cuts themselves, you're like, oh my God, you must be in danger. But if someone's doing risky behavior that's just adult choices, we don't call that self-destructive behavior. We don't view it the same way, but it really is the same way. Like when people stay in abusive relationships, they're just like a lot of times lack of coping mechanisms and lack of boundaries and all of that. Ask yourself what it is you're needing at this moment. Learn how to communicate your needs, which is what I was thinking about with yours. Because I think ultimately what it comes down to, I'll say to Jeremy now, I'll say like, this is making me uncomfortable and has nothing to do with you. I'm just going to tell you what I'm feeling so I can say it, but I don't need you to do anything about it because I know that you're not doing anything wrong.
Okay, that's interesting. That's good.
It helps me communicate what I'm feeling and express that I'm upset and I'm working through it, but it has nothing to do with you and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to fix the problem, you don't have to feel guilty, but if I'm acting odd, it's because I'm working through this.
That's very mature.
It could be because I think he's mad at me because and he's not mad at me, you know? I'm like, are you mad at me?
I was looking up like tips for my anxious attachment, which was interesting because what you were saying. So learn how to use other people to regulate your emotions.
Okay.
If you're having an anxious attachment style, you likely struggle with big emotions and anxiety, but don't have any tools to help yourself feel better besides talking with other people. If you're in a romantic relationship, you likely expect your partner to be on the receiving end of these talks because of your anxiety is largely about them and they're close by, trusted, and care about you. Which is true. Like, I'm definitely like, I want to talk this out. I want, you know what I mean? And
because that gives you a resolve.
Right. But they could be like, meh.
They're like, avoidant. Why do I need to have a resolve right now?
Right. Yeah. I don't want to talk about that. So ask myself questions before I reach out. What am I feeling? Am I feeling insecure, shaky, overwhelmed? So I think
is that conversation necessary?
Right. And I definitely am. I just jumped the gun. I'm like, I feel anxious right now and I want to calm my anxiety. So I'm going to email you 3 times because you're not responding to me because I'm anxious and I need you to, but you're an avoidant and fuck. Like,
and if I got emails like that, I would be like, this person needs to calm down.
Which is probably my recent
And
scenario.
my response would be to not respond.
Right.
So, and because I didn't know what to say to the whole thing.
Can we blame the last guy then that's not responding to me?
No.
I mean,
maybe not. Yeah. Maybe we should send him a nice card.
Send him a pile of shit. Anyway.
No, but if I got a lot of emails like that, I probably would be like, this is overwhelming. I would probably respond by saying, I'm overwhelmed by all of this.
That's the thing, though. That I can understand. And I I actually messaged, I won't get totally in the story because I don't want to spend time talking about him too much, but I'm just giving an example of having an anxiety attachment style is like. If you're not getting a response from somebody that you care about and is just waltzed back into your life and now they've disappeared, that triggers your anxiety so much. Like, what? Like, what just happened? I need you to talk to me.
Totally.
But if he's an avoidant, he's like...
He's already gone.
Yeah, bye. Like,
he came to drop off a pile of shit and he's already gone.
Yeah. So I sent him a couple messages and was like, can you at least respond to me? Like,
do you think those people want you to chase them because that's their... What is that person? What is their attachment style? Can we do like the test for other people?
I don't think we can. I think we can guess, but I think there's a level of honestly, I don't think that this particular person feels like they deserve love.
Go back to that
gives
pie
that
chart
to them.
I'm gonna guess. I like guessing. I like being right.
Hold on, let me go through this. So notice how much you talk at someone versus connect with them.
Okay.
I don't know if I feel like I talk at people, but maybe. Work on disappointments from the past. Oof.
Mm-hmm. Recognize when someone is securely attached.
And what they do.
What does that mean?
See, anxious attachment styles, you're likely drawn to avoidant attachers, as each of you remind the other of a familiar dysfunctional home environment. It's especially important that you're aware of what is and isn't a secure attachment when you choose partners. Boundaries. Do you need daily communication? Do you need to have a lot of affection? When you get into a fight, does your partner need space? Mm-hmm. Ask for what you need.
Number 5.
Let go of relationships if your needs for security are not being met.
You don't do that.
I do not. I hang on tighter.
You want them to tell you that it's done.
Yeah. Tell me it's over. Just tell me. Like, I never want to speak to you again. I hate your guts. I'd rather you tell me.
Yeah, and I've already been gone. I've already decided for you what your answer is, and I've already been down the road.
You're like, Megan who? What? Megan. Who's Megan? But yeah, I do have a hard time letting go of relationships that aren't working for me because I probably do crave that intimacy. And I'm like, I like this person. I care about this person. I want to hold on to them, but they're not a good fit for me.
And that's why maybe exes can come back into your world and you will hear them out.
I will. That's my own fucking problem.
And I am
that just happened to me.
I automatically am like, state your business.
No soliciting. What is your business?
Because I don't trust anything. I'm like, what do you want? I already know it's bad.
I wish in this recent situation I had been more that way. Instead, I was the kind and I'm not going to fault myself for being a kind person.
You are kind.
At the end of the day, I'm always going to be who I am. But how many times is somebody going to kick you down?
Maybe recognizing that it's not healthy and that it's okay to say
no.
You want to hear people out though, because you're curious and you want to hear.
I have a curious nature for sure.
But maybe like it's you ever see those things where it's like, I don't care what's in that room. Would you go in the room? It's just a room and they're like, something's in there. Or maybe nothing. Would you go in the room?
I would go in the room.
I
want to know what's in the room.
I'd be like, fuck that. I don't watch scary movies for a reason.
I don't like scary movies either, but I want to know. My curiosity would get the best of me. And I think you're right.
Let me put that differently. Let's say an ex of yours showed up and said, I put a letter in a room. And you have full access to that room. Do you go in and read it, or you go, I don't give a shit what's in that letter?
I'd go read the letter. See, that's because I still care.
I wouldn't.
That's the problem.
Because I knew if I read it, I would be traumatized. Doesn't matter what it is, I would already just be mad. I would be angry or sad in some way or another.
So that's your avoidant part.
And I would be like, I don't want to feel any of that.
That's your dismissive avoidant piece of you.
I'm very dismissive avoidant. So I'm either like super vulnerable and scared of what you're going to do to me, or I don't care about you at all and I'm completely detached.
Okay.
So it's super chaotic. Yeah, there's very extremes with me. And so that's why you said like that my attachment style is so rare, but it comes from severe abuse. You know, that's the funniest part is like, ha ha ha, I'm so unique in how weird I am, but like really it comes from severe trauma, not just like I grew up in a strange family. Like I had severe, like really bad like existence for most of my life, and not just my upbringing, but I chose really abusive relationships for most of my 20s, and it's my own fault and I take full responsibility for all of it. But it's not like funny. It's like it is funny though when you're like, man, I'm a weirdo, but I like who I am and I work with it. So
you recognize it, and that's great. Like, you, as long as you recognize it and work on it. The problem is, my ex who reached back out to me said, like, I'm a terrible partner. I struggle with intimacy outside of the bedroom. I mean, this is stuff he's telling me. And these are all, like, when somebody tells you who they are, that's who they are. Like, whether he was trying to, like, get me to be like, no, you're a great person, to feed his fucking ego, who knows? But
if he knows that he struggles with intimacy outside of the bedroom, like, what? I wonder why these people are in relationships at all. Is there ever a point where they're like,
because they can't be alone. They want the physicality of it, and, like, there's somebody there with me, there's somebody I can have sex with, but there's so much more to intimacy than having sex. So, like he was saying, I can be so loving towards my daughter, but I can't be that way
to other people,
to a significant other.
Can't.
Which I totally can relate, because he was not, like, lovey-dovey, and I didn't understand it because I would see him with his daughter, and I'm like,
you're capable of that.
You're capable somewhere, but for some reason you're not in a romantic relationship. In the bedroom, like, sexually, you're comfortable, but you're not outside of that.
Other than Jeremy, I really don't know any other secure attachment people.
They say it's only probably about 25% of the population has a secure attachment. Everybody else is fucked up.
I've not. We're all fucked up. We are. And you know what's funny is
Kim has a secure attachment.
Really?
Yeah, she took it.
Really? I always wonder if people are being honest. Not against her, but I was like, you gotta be really honest in those.
You do. Yeah. I mean, it said that she did, and she had a traumatic childhood. So
I mean, I could do a test and come out secure if I wanted to.
Right. But I do think there are people who go through trauma, and if you work through it, develop a secure attachment style later down the road. I think that is possible.
Jeremy had trauma growing up. He didn't have a cakewalk. He had a lot of stuff in his life.
Yeah.
I don't know how he came out like he did.
But I'm sure he had his struggles throughout his life where he wasn't, you know.
True. Because we did that.
Right, exactly. So, like, hearing his story, it wasn't like he was always...
I looked to him as, like, it's sort of like I don't know what they call it, like a weatherman or something. Like, I literally looked to him as, like, a light, and I'm like, he's my steady point, you know, and, like, everything else, like, I just fly around in the universe. I'm just, you know, I've learned to just realize and accept the ebb and the flow and work with it, and I just don't put myself in situations where I'm going to be triggered.
Yeah.
Or with people.
Because you recognize what triggers you, and...
Because I know I'm a good person, and I know I have a lot to offer the world now. I know that. See, that's part of the healing thing is, like, I know I'm a good person. I know I'm worth loving. I know I have a lot to offer. I just have these, like, these undercurrents that occur. And let me just clarify that, you know, 75% of the time, I'm just like a steady, even, balanced person. It's when we're triggered, those things happen.
Right, those things happen. Exactly. I'm not sitting here like, oh my God, I gotta be in a relationship.
Right.
I'm so anxious.
Let's be very clear about that. That it's like 75% of the time, like, we're very, like, balanced, and we do our existence, and we have work, and we have events, and we have things to do. But when you're triggered, that's when those behaviors come out.
Right. Like, giving me the silent treatment triggers my anxiety very badly.
I would do that to someone I knew that about.
And
if I knew that the silent treatment would disturb you, I would probably give you the silent treatment.
Right.
And if we were dating.
Right. And let's talk about if somebody has narcissistic qualities and they know what your triggers are, they're going to trigger them even more in you.
Yeah. And now I would just do it because I would be like, well, I want to affect you. Not because I want to hurt you.
Yeah.
But because if I affect you, then, which is super manipulative.
I was like, why would you do that to me, Deidra?
I wouldn't do this.
Fuck you. No, like, why are you going to be
like,
so
if we
mean
were
to me?
fighting and you were like, you were super clingy and you were like, and I could tell that you just wanted to talk, I would, like, put it down and walk away.
Gotcha.
Because then I'm in more control of the situation.
Yeah.
That's probably what you've experienced.
Right. Yeah. And I'm the one freaking out because I have an anxious attachment style. Instead of recognizing, okay, this person's probably an avoidant or dismissive, I need to let them put it down and walk away and be ready to talk about it when they're ready, you know?
Would you be attracted to my attachment style in a dude?
I don't know. I think
it's probably
because it would be familiar. But it would
because it's very intense though. Like when you're connected, it's like super intense. Yeah. But there's all this like chaos. Maybe not. Maybe it's just aloofness.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so this recent situation where, you know, just stop responding to me after you reach back out, like, triggers my anxiety. Because I'm like, what? Just tell me. Tell me if you got back with your ex. I don't give a shit. Just tell me.
You know what's interesting? When people don't talk to me, I forget that they, like, if I'm talking to somebody and they stop talking, I forget that we were even talking. it doesn't like linger in my mind.
Oh, see, I like overanalyze, reanalyze.
Yeah.
I'll go searching for things to try to pick out patterns, and we talked about I should be a detective because
my dad
I'll try to I need to fit these pieces in the puzzle to make the puzzle understand the puzzle. I don't understand the puzzle right now, but I just got to be okay with not knowing and understanding. And
that's kind of
shit ride.
Yeah,
like it is what it is.
I'm just saying, like in relationships that are like acquaintance level, I definitely don't care when people don't respond to me.
Yeah. Acquaintance level?
Yeah.
Same. Friends? Also, I have friends that I've messaged and they're just
if you don't respond to me in a relationship, I'm like...
when there's a romantic connection and this is the third time you've come back and then disappeared.
I hate that.
And it's really just my own fucking
I actually hate that. Like, it really makes me angry when exes show up with some agenda to converse.
That should be the next episode.
I really have a lot to say about that. Why you can't get
back with your ex. Or talk to them or be friends.
I do not think exes should be friends. I've said that before, and I truly believe that. I mean, there's some circumstances that can happen, but overall, if you broke up because of something that happened, that person is not your friend.
Let's do that let's do this next one.
Okay.
So that's on the list of episodes.
They're not your friends.
Because it's a good leadway into the situation that happened to me.
Yeah, totally.
My ex reached back out. I hadn't heard from him in 8 months.
Yeah. He's like an old shoe.
So
just keeps walking back on in.
Walks back in, kicks me, and then walks back out. You know what I mean? And it's like the thing that I'm always going to be a nice person, so I'm always like, but there's that boundary that no, this is unhealthy. Did I pick my phone?
No, that's the dehumidifier. We have lots of machines and sounds in here.
All right, we'll wrap it up. We hope you guys found this episode interesting. I thought the attachment styles were interesting.
Look up your attachment style.
Yes. I'm going to put the quiz. Take it, comment, let us know. Reach out to me, femfables@gmail.com, if you found anything enlightening about your attachment style and recognizing kind of how that works in your relationships that you've had. Mm-hmm. I think it's super important to know.
Totally.
But
yes.
All right. Well, we will see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much.
Bye.